I have pressed go live, so we just wait a few moments.
Wait for the thing to catch up so we can check that everyone can hear us.
Yes, hopefully we are
Mute
live.
that.
Um,
Doobadoo,
did I
doobadoo.
tweet? I don't think I tweeted, so I am going to.
Uh-oh, you tweet twit.
That's me. If I put that there, that doesn't block the view, does it?
Oh,
No.
we're now live. The first words were, did I tweet? Hello, peoples.
Oh wow, that's a good reason for not just starting off with important
Hello,
stuff.
Melicon.
How are you doing?
Hello, Roderick. Sorry, mouthful of coffee there. That's
I genuinely love how you see messages about 3 or 4 seconds before they crop up on my admin panel.
I know. Unless they've got links in them, in which case I don't see them at all.
But I do, and no one else sees them either.
So how is everybody? Let's start with Mikey. Mikey, how are you?
I'm good. I'm going to tweet about the stream.
Oh, right, you're tweeting. How is everybody else? How is Melicon and Roderick? I think they're the only people watching right now. We shall get the others in a moment.
I might have mentioned this before. I often do repeat myself, but there's a very interesting statistic about streaming. It may just be Twitch streaming. I'm not sure. But in general, you expect no one in the first half of your stream to be there except the loyal fans, so thank you for being here. And then it starts to warm up about an hour in. But usually that's when most people have gone, well, it's not that busy, I'll stop. And if you kept it going for 2 or 3 hours, you would end up with lots more people.
But that's for gameplay. Like 2 or 3 hours of us waffling just sounds like a great way for us to get sore throats so everyone else gets bored. Malagon is trying to get his printer going. When you say going, you mean like moving along the floor? Like you put an engine on it?
Oh, it's a 3D printer, isn't it? So lots of fun with a 3D printer. Interestingly, it's, if I'm right in saying, it seems to be snapping or pulling off. So it's a lithography printer. So you put resin into a vat, and then a UV light shines through an LCD screen, essentially, and that means that you can print very, very fine detail. And the way that it works is slowly this plate gets lifted up out of the goo, and hopefully you've got a model on there. But if not, it could snap off, and you can have absolutely everything set perfectly with a 3D printer, and it's still just not work. But I think there's something else going on with the printer, but it didn't happen to my lithography printer, so who knows?
Roderick says, pretty good. Kid went to sleep, so hopefully I get about 2 hours of silence. How are you? Not too bad. I'm coming down with a cold, but apart from that, not too bad. Mikey, how are you?
I've got a sore throat because, earlier on I was telling you that story and I was barking the sound. I've realised that I probably shouldn't have done that quite so loud. But otherwise, yeah, they probably compressed it out on the microphone. But I was actually quite...
which story it was. Wow, I'm more tired than I thought I was.
Well, the coffee that I had has gone already. It's completely gone. The one I arrived with 5 minutes ago. But yeah, it's been very interesting. I don't know about you guys out there. You say, Roderick, you've got kids. It's been a very interesting week trying to get back into the homeschooling, trying to keep the kids busy, trying to keep them entertained, and actually focused on work. And there's been all sorts of sticks and stones, and no, that's name calling. But there's loads of things to just trip up the entire week. I had an interesting problem with Resolve, which turned out to be that's the video editing software.
Oh, yeah.
That ended up being an NVIDIA driver issue. So I just rolled back the driver. Fortunately, they have that capability. But, it's one of those things where you're just like, what is it that's gone wrong? And there was no clue other than the fact that it just said couldn't play back the video. And, of course, what does that mean with a video editor?
Hello, Chris.
What does that mean?
Yeah, especially something like a video editor for us is kind of critical. And the more time we spend, trying to fix that, the worse it is. I've spent the past couple of days redoing the videos I'd done for Canopy Cars, based largely on actually something Chris found. He found a solution to a bug I was getting. It was like, it's easiest to re-record it from the start. Like, why do a bunch of patch videos afterwards when it just go from there? But it feels good because it's a much better rhythm in the course now. So thank you for that, Chris.
And I'm not going to make huge promises here. With so what I've been doing a lot of sort of personal learning recently, especially with coding. I'm going right back to fundamentals and really trying to patch up anything that I may have glossed over and might not have understood fully. So, and this is where the no promises comes in. Obviously, there will be Python in the Blender course when we get to that particular section. So there'll be a nice introduction to Blender Python going on. But I'm really enjoying C++ again.
Yep.
And recently, I've gone through some things, and I'm like, I'm having these aha moments because I'm going right back to fundamentals, which I skipped over or forgot about in the past. So it's been a real enjoyment actually learning about these things afresh with a fresh mind because it's been a while since I've done it.
So this is new information for me too, but I do know that you like putting semicolons at the end of everything, so that makes sense.
Oh, so you can do that in Python, you know?
You can.
It
It's just
doesn't.
no
It's
point.
how you annoy people who usually do Python coding.
Yeah.
Because then it doesn't look like Python when you look at it, but you can actually put semicolons in Python. So
You can. There's just no reason to, apart from to troll people.
you know me, Jan. You know me.
Speaking of trolling, Mike and I are having our pre-show chat, and we were speaking a lot about the games we've been playing recently. Because I played Red Dead Redemption 2 and was well. It started off with me playing Cyberpunk, which I bought specifically to see, because I was hearing reports beyond the bugs. There are some gameplay design decisions that just don't make sense. And I've spoken about them a lot, and so I got the game specifically to look at it from a game design point of view. Like, what can I learn from what they've done? And it's things like, and I've mentioned this a few times, the street cred system. It's a really lovely idea. You know, you've got this cyberpunk game set in the original Cyberpunk 2070 role-playing game that I played when I was 14, where street cred is really important. You're a mercenary, of course. Who you know and what your reputation is important. But the way it's done in the game, you can't buy these jeans. You're not cool enough. Right? And it's just like, no, that's silly. From there, I went to Red Dead Redemption 2 and was very impressed. The storytelling, the characters, like the themes, the darkness, and that thing, like a really good story of do you seek redemption and a bunch of other things that I'm not going to spoil. Like very, very good.
Yes, please don't spoil it because I have. Well, it was yesterday. I started downloading Red Dead Redemption on Friday. It took till Sunday afternoon to fully download. It's a big game.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to give you any spoilers. I did find that when I got to the end of the game, it's like, okay, now you can go to the open world. By the way, you can't find those missions that you saved up, so forget about them. Just wander around and do things. I did that for about an hour. I was like, maybe not. So I tried the online version, Red Dead Online, and quickly realized that the last thing I want to do is to go into this game with a bunch of strangers.
I could see it be very enjoyable just teaming up and having a little posse of a few people
Exactly.
and using it as a basis like most games when you're playing them communally it's really got nothing to do with the game. It's just there to either help stories or just to have a chat and something else
This game
to
as
do
well,
all the
there's
time.
so, like most Rockstar games, there's so much you can do, and now
Yeah.
you're not being driven by a pre-recorded plot and character development. And it's Rockstar. There's a good chance one of the main characters at least is going to die, and you're not going to be able to do their content afterwards, right? So you're kind of balancing the little fun side things you've got with actually trying to get Trevor his medication. I mean, and it's not actually a plot point in GTA 5, but it should be, right?
It really should be.
But here you can like, okay, we're going to be an outlaw gang, and let's focus on, I don't know, what do you feel like doing? Let's rob some trains. We're going to do that, or we're going to grind up bounty hunter, or whatever it is we're going to do. We're going to go explore this region and do some hunting. Like you can actually have adventures. But doing that in an open world game with a bunch of strangers who are being incentivized to hunt you down and kill you, I mean, you can. Everything is too expensive to do solo. So I was like, I don't know. So maybe I'll re-download GTA 5. I haven't played that in about 6 years. I used to have a lot of fun playing with a small group of people. We'd do heists together and crimes together, all the rest of it. I have my issues with the single player game, but let's give it a shot.
I was going to say GTA 5. So I played it with my brother a few months back now, and we had a lot of fun together, and it was absolutely brilliant. We had to do a wacky thing to make sure we're in a server by ourselves, so we weren't being trolled, and it was quite awesome flying around on a bike or something that resembles a DeLorean or whatever it happens to be. That was really cool. It was totally at a place for the game that I remembered because it's suddenly all this flying stuff was in there, and the flying bike that has a homing
The
missiles on it.
oppressor, yeah.
It's just like that's such an overpowered trolley
And
thing to
everyone in
do.
the community knows it. This vehicle is completely unbalanced. The way it handles is insane.
Yep.
The acceleration is insane. Nothing can catch it. The fact that it has homing missiles is insane. And it's kind of interesting because I've been having a lot of fun in GTA Online. Although when I want to do big stuff, I have to glitch out of the main menu.
Yeah.
Because the last thing I want is a bunch of trolley 12-year-olds. Like, I just
Yeah.
don't. People whose idea of a good time is ruining someone else's day. Like, you guys play with each other. That's fine. I'm going to go do this. I'm
No,
44. I
I
don't have
totally
the
get
time.
it though. 12-year-old me,
Yeah.
or even 18-year-old me, would have taken a lot of glee in just going around dropping bombs on people, trying to go about the business in the game. But it's annoying because if you're actually doing a mission at the time, and someone's actively targeted you for whatever reason, suddenly, yeah, you can get completely thrown off the mission and have to start again, or just quit until that person's no longer there. And one of the things that really sort of opened my eyes to this kind of really big imbalance was the fact that you can't steal other players' cars or
If
vehicles.
Yes,
If
if they've stolen the car, you can steal it.
Yeah, but
But
their
if it's theirs
personal
and
car.
they've bought, you can't touch it.
And I'm like, the game is Grand Theft Auto, and I can't steal other players' cars.
I
That
mean, I can kind of
that's a
see why
real
they did that. Actually, no. I can set my vehicles to allow anybody into it.
yes, you can.
But why would I do that?
I don't know. Why would you?
I
But
also have an
that's
option
the
to kick
strange
people
thing.
out of my car. Like,
I've had that happen. So I found an oppressor, as you called it. And I got on it, and it was just sat there on the road, and obviously someone had planted it there for a newbie like me to come along and just start picking it up. I was like, oh, this thing's cool. And as soon as I'm like, I don't know, 2,000 feet in the air, they just kicked me from it. And of course, it doesn't teleport you down to the ground; it literally kicks you off the bike.
did you have a parachute?
No, why
I
would
have
I?
had a couple of really fun moments with people trying to troll me. I was doing a mission and in a unarmed, very slow helicopter, just going from one place to another to deliver some things for the business I was running. And someone spotted me in a fighter jet. And he was very far away and going very fast. He starts firing cannons.
Yeah,
So I decided to fly very low to the ground and hug the terrain and do all the rest of it. I'm using the controller when I'm flying because doing that with the keyboard is the same. And he's getting closer and closer and buzzing me and buzzing me and buzzing me. So just when he gets very, very close, I suddenly stop and pull back because I can do that in a helicopter. But if you stop in an airplane, you fall.
yes, you
And
do.
it did make me feel very smart because the way you deal with things like that is to think, okay, what's the strength of what I have compared to what he's got, as opposed to try and be a better plane. There's no way you're outrunning a jet, but you can outfly one. But it made me think what I really want in a game like Grand Theft Auto Online or Red Dead Online is an online experience with my friends. Because there is something about getting with a small group of people, making a crew or an outlaw posse, whatever it is, or
Yeah.
or bounty hunter posse, and telling that story together, which is amazing. And that made me think the one game that has really done that well, and I'm always surprised whenever this comes up in my favorite open world game, is Saints Row 3.
That was a lot of fun when we were playing it a couple of years
Saints Row
back.
3 doesn't take itself at all seriously. Like, in any way. Like, the moment we got past the introduction, and the introduction is hysterical. You could play with you and your friend. You can only two of you, unfortunately. But go for it. You want to be in the same place? Be in the same place. You want to do something else? Do something else. You have to do missions together, but like, the first thing we did was Professor Genki's something fun time, where we did this murderous game show together.
And you have to survive, otherwise you
And you have
lose the game
complete
show.
control of your character and all the rest of it. It's just, what do you feel like doing? It leans into that wackiness. But I don't have to worry about someone else whose idea of a good time is making my time bad.
So I'll turn it to you guys who are watching at the moment. Have you had any similar experiences with other games where there's something that really rubs you up the wrong way, and otherwise it would be an absolutely fantastic game, or quite round the other way? I thought, for instance, when I was playing Oblivion back in the day, that the side quests were amazing. I
Mm.
like the almost like a TV nature of it. It was like mini episodes to keep you going, and I genuinely did not touch the main plot for a good chunk of playing it. In fact, I think the first 20 playthroughs, I was like, I don't care what's happening. I'm going to. And I cheesed the game a little. I realised that if you didn't do the first mission, you don't get the Oblivion gates popping up everywhere. So,
Yep.
so that made the game a lot easier.
Same with those dragons that keep appearing in Skyrim.
Yeah.
Um, we've also been playing a reasonable amount of Sea of Thieves, you and I.
Yes, that's been a very enjoyable experience, a very vomit-inducing experience. If you're glued to the screen, it's so
Well, I
the
mean,
waves,
because I played it
brilliant.
once with my girlfriend because she said it sounds really interesting and got the worst simulation sickness. And every time since, it's like, do you feel like playing it? It's like, maybe. And she goes green. So if you have motion sickness, don't get this game because they're just too realistic.
It's a very interesting game.
Do you know what I'm fascinated by with this game? I've been watching some YouTube plays on it. We're playing it as a PvP adventure game.
Yeah,
A lot of people play it as a very, very hardcore PvP game, which I have no interest in at all.
really.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been hyper vigilant about watching the horizons for ships because if there was one point when I was trying to finish up playing so I could go do the thing I'd got booked in, and we were sailing back to the base, which or a port or what's it called?
Free port, trading port,
Yeah,
an
trading port.
outpost.
Outpost, that's the word I'm looking for. So you have to get back to this outpost to make sure you can sell what you've got on your ship, because if you quit the server, which I didn't realize at first, you start off always with a fresh ship with a default amount of stuff. So anything you got in your inventory goes the next session you have. And I didn't realize that. So I've been collecting stuff for weeks and putting it in the boat, and I'm wondering why Jan has been using up all these resources.
Nope.
Nope. Um, but we passed a few people and they just weren't interested in fighting, and it was kind of
You
this.
know why they weren't?
Why's that?
Because we were clearly new players who didn't have anything worth stealing.
Quite possibly.
I was playing, I think I was playing solo, or were you with me? When another ship came up right close. Oh, no, you were with me.
Yeah.
Came up right alongside us as we're sailing, and they typed hello, and I typed ahoy, and they just sailed away. They were waiting to see if we were going to fire. And we didn't, so they're like, all right, fine.
Yeah, little things like because you can see everything the other player can do, and I really enjoy this. So Jan's reading the mission book. I can literally look over his shoulder and see what you're doing. Those things are a really, really nice touch in terms of
They do a really good
interactivity.
job of diegesic information, by which I mean the world of the game is the world itself.
Yeah,
So you can see which way the sails need to be blowing. If you fire a harpoon into shallow water, it'll grip the seabed and turn the boat, which is great for
yeah.
certain maneuvers. I also found out, by the way, you can use the harpoons on floating chests.
Oh, nice. That'll be.
Don't do that on exploding barrels.
There's a hole in my ship.
Yep.
Yeah, because of that, you can tell if someone's going to attack you, they're going to be on their cannons. And so when we were coming close to another ship, the first thing I did was move away from the cannons and move to another part of the ship. It's like you're saying to them, I have no interest in actually engaging you at this time.
The ones to watch out for are the ships that line their deck and the little thing at the front, the pointy bit, with chests.
Oh, to entice
Lure
you
you.
in. Yeah.
Yep. If you see anyone doing that, I hope you're ready for a fight and know what you're doing.
I like that.
No, it's a really interesting piece of design because if you want that kind of hardcore PvP experience, it's in there. But if you want to just have adventures and solve riddles, that's in there too. And for
Yeah.
a lot of people, the PvE is the tutorial for the PvP.
Yeah, that
Because
makes
running
sense.
those cargo missions teaches you like the best routes between points, and where to find everything and all the rest of it. The hunt down skeleton lords and kill them missions are PvP combat training.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of that going on. It's a really interesting game, like really well made. I love the way that they're showing you all the information you need in a way that is just in the world and non-intrusive. Like the compass heading is there.
Yeah. In the spirit of what I was asking a moment ago, I find the control system it's got a different paradigm. So you bring up a wheel, which is quite common in consoles. I'll forgive the game for doing that. I'd much rather just hit some numbers at the top of my keyboard, but whatever. But you don't select the thing and it disappear. You move to it and then let go of the menu button, and that's the select.
Well, the other one as well is you keep pressing E instead of F to use
Yes.
things. And here, E is not use, F is use. E is shout whatever the last chat macro you had selected. So Mikey went through a game just spamming everything's all right for like 10 minutes.
Until I discovered it and changed it to I need help, which was very, very clear. But it's an interesting paradigm shift because every other game that I've played recently, E is the use key. So obviously that's embedded up here. And it's been the use key for me with most of the games that I've played for many, many years. And I think it's become F for a lot of people simply because Q and E are used to lean round corners a lot of the time.
I tell you what, though, Rockstar games are so bad at that. Red Dead Redemption a little bit, but GTA especially. Like, sometimes it's E, sometimes it's R, sometimes it's F, sometimes it's G.
It's contextual.
I drowned repeatedly because I forgot that when you're underwater, W is not forward, W is down.
I had the same problem in Sea of Thieves. I'm so used to pressing space as just a swim up command. It means just swim straight up. Nope. Space does nothing in the water.
But I will give them credit when you can get drunk in the game. You can drink a bunch of grog and everything goes fuzzy, and after a while you throw up. And you can even throw up in a bucket. And there is an award for throwing sick on someone when they're attacking you with a sword.
Lovely.
And then at one point, Mikey and I were just about to log off. It's like, let's go to the tavern and get drunk. Go to the tavern to get drunk. And I'm like, I wonder. I pull out a musical instrument, and it turns out if you're drunk and you play a musical instrument, you're off beat and you're out of tune. And it was the funniest thing I'd seen for a very long time.
Oh, you can't. We can't finish the story of Sea of Thieves without Jan puts a little bit of food on, and we go onto the island. And we start selling our stuff. All's good. We see another group of people.
I don't have any memory of this.
we see another group. We start playing music. We're like, "Arr!" and all the rest of it.
Having a lovely time. They're being really nice to us. We go
back to our boat. Jan's like,
it's on fire.
Why is the boat on fire? And my first thought was, oh, perhaps they've done it whilst we've been distracted. And you go straight down to the cooker and start putting the fire out.
I'd forgot we had a bunch of treasure and I was cooking some food and I was so excited to sell the treasure I just left the food cooking. I didn't realize that would set fire to the entire ship. Apparently that's something you can do if you sneak onto someone else's ship and they're not paying attention. Put a banana on it and leave.
That's hilarious. And again, it's an interesting game design. Those possibilities are there. It's a very systemic thing. If you leave the cooker on, you will burn the ship down.
After you left, I was spending some of the money we made to buy some cosmetics, and there was a group that turned up and just started killing me in the island for no reason. And like, you're not actually supposed to be attacking people on the outpost.
Like, so it can be done. I thought the game prevented it.
No, there's no friendly fire.
Oh, okay.
So if we're on the same crew, we can't hurt each other. But what it meant was I couldn't actually spend any of the money I was trying to spend.
I'll take it every time you
eventually
the menu,
they got bored and came to visit me in my ship. So it's like, well, there's 4 of you. There's nothing I can do. I'll just fire a cannon at your ship. Instant death, come back, my ship's on fire. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, that's going to happen. Oh dear. Yeah, lots of fun in that. And there are lots of takeaways in these games that build up like that. I do like the fact that everything seems to be put together in a very cohesive manner. The fact that you can look over shoulders. The game tells you things like bringing up a map, as you say. You do that in game.
It's interesting because it's not. The game doesn't feel realistic because everything is so cartoony.
Oh no, it doesn't feel realistic at all. Apart from the waves.
Apart from the health menu, everything else is
yeah.
I think Everything else is communicated in game. Oh, and how many shots you have when you pull out your ranged weapon.
It's interesting. It maybe begs the question if we can use examples of these games in a more structured way and really start pulling them apart and formally discussing the actual what's going on in the background here.
It's there's a really interesting discussion to be had somewhere about our reliance on user interface, on UI, on graphic user interface,
Yeah,
rather than user interface, which is the whole experience, on things like bars and counters and numbers and
yeah.
dials and all the other things. If that can be displayed in game, like there are certain situations where I imagine you would rather do it with a graphic user interface, but like a stealth game without a stealth meter or a vision cone
It's
sounds very interesting, but the decisions on how to make that work would be very difficult.
I've Thief did that incredibly well with the little gem at the bottom. I don't know if you guys can remember Thief, but that gem at the
Which
bottom,
one?
Thief 1 and 2 is the ones that I'm gonna go
Well, it
towards.
was rebooted.
It was rebooted. I played it quite a bit, but there was something about it that was missing. It didn't feel as dark and as gritty as the originals did, even though they're still a great
You didn't
game
know
to
your
play.
character had the throat infection.
Even though that, yes, the 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 thing that got me about Thief is it's a very unforgiving game. If you play it, and a lot of games from that era were unforgiving. If you play it on the hardest setting, you were in for a world of pain. You know, like you can't kill anyone, or even you can't be noticed at
I mean,
all.
what I like about Thief and the Hitman series, especially the reboots, I think the reboots are actually better than the originals. And I know I'm going to get a lot of flack for saying that, but I do prefer Hitman 1 and 2, the remakes,
Yeah,
to the original Hitman. Um, was they're built from the ground up to be stealth games. So the stealth system is very good. And one of the things, well, there's two key elements to a stealth game, as far as I can see. One, I need to have enough information to make me feel smarter than the NPCs. I need to
yeah,
have things like vision cones or routines or whatever it is. Like I need a way of knowing that they're around the corner, but they don't know I'm around the corner. I need a little bit of extra information. Not so much that it's simple, but enough that I can feel like I'm planning and scheming. And that's for me is key
yeah.
in a stealth game. Another is you need very precise controls. GTA is not designed as a stealth game, but the latest heist can be solo run, and it's a lot of fun to run solo,
Yeah.
and you can run it stealth. The amount of times I've gotten killed because the controls are imprecise. I
Yeah.
mean, Rockstar games have this habit of just making your character take a step forward and walk backwards for no reason. Like I'm trying to turn a corner,
Yeah.
or you're trying to pick things up and they just go around. I've got killed repeatedly because my character will not get in the boat. He'll dive under it. He'll jump over it. He'll run over it. I'm like, they're shooting at you. Get in the boat. Another one that's like that is Payday. Payday 2. Payday 2 is not designed as a stealth game. There is
But
a stealth mechanic, but the stealth game is quite shocking. I saw great footage of someone running the stealth heist in Grand Theft Auto Online, and someone challenged him to do a pacifist run. Do the entire thing, make as much money as you can, but kill no one. And there's one part where a guard comes out, just stops right in front of a corner you have to go around. And he's like 3 inches from the corner. And he's looking straight ahead. You can see his vision cone, which is like 15 degrees. So he can stand here.
yeah.
I spent 10 minutes like, I don't think this is actually possible. I wonder what happened if this. And he pushes against the guard, and the guard doesn't react. So he gently nudges him away from the corner. And
Talk
it's just
that's
once you
comedy gold.
realize that the stealth system is that bad, the entire thing just becomes simpler because you're no longer tense.
Yeah. The stealth that there's Splinter Cell. I think nailed stealth really well as well, especially with the acrobatics that you could perform. I found that fascinating because it gives you multiple ways to actually,
I mean, choice is a really important part of
yeah,
them.
genuine choice rather than Deus Ex type choice.
Well, did you ever play the rebooted Hitman games?
I've played Hitman 2.
It's a really good example of the level is essentially a giant clockwork toy,
Yes.
and it's going to react to what you do. But you've got absolute. I mean, you can unlock more weapons as you go. But do you want to go in and just garrote? Do you want to do a non-violent? Do you want to come in with a sniper rifle? Do you want to bring
Yeah.
explosives? Are you going to set distraction? It'll guide you. It'll say, here are some set pieces you can do. But it's trying to encourage you to just find your own way through this puzzle.
So when it comes, and Hitman does this relatively well, um, and some other games like there are quite a few that leave like a shadow where the enemy think you last were, that sort of thing, like a little ghost of where you were. I think that was Hitman that did that incredibly well as well. And one of the things that I've really rubbed me up the wrong way. I love playing stealth, rogue, archer style games. Play through if I'm playing an RPG. I just like that combination. Um, Hit them from a distance or get up close and silent because I don't like fighting the hordes. But in something like Skyrim doesn't do it very well either. Oblivion didn't do it very well
No.
either. But any game where you attack someone from 150 miles away with an arrow, yes, 150 miles away, and everybody on the map knows where you are. It's like,
Well, the other problem is
wow.
because it's all stat based. Skyrim, especially, is bad at this. If you level up stealth,
How?
it doesn't actually matter how hard it is to see you. Unless you're directly in front of them and standing, they're not going to see you. And you do
Yes.
so much extra damage if you're wielding 2 daggers
Yeah,
that I found myself able
exactly.
to one-shot dragons who didn't know I was there.
That's
Like,
that's the
that
thing.
was ridiculous character, but
You end up in this position where if you try and range stealth someone and you're successful, brilliant. Otherwise, everybody in the map knows where you are. Or you get up really close and your stealth damage does so much they go flying over the map themselves.
I mean, this is one of the things I'm impressed with the design of Sea of Thieves. I'm kind of the thing that I don't like about Sea of Thieves is I have to go through the Xbox Microsoft Live store. I just don't
Yeah.
like it. But one thing I'm very impressed by is there are no levels. You can work your way up through various factions, and they'll give you cosmetic grades.
Yeah.
And at the higher level PvP stuff, like if you're carrying the Reaper, which is the PvP faction flag, and you get that to a high enough level, you can see other ships on your map.
Yeah.
But there's none of this extra 10% damage to shotguns.
It's a level playing field. It's
You
just
can
all
hold
cosmetic.
your breath longer. Yeah.
You know one
And
thing that
I'm
I
actually
was
wondering if more games should get rid of the concept of levels entirely. Because GTA Online has levels. If I'm a higher level character, not only have I got enough street cred to unlock the weapon you can't have, I can run faster, longer, and hold my breath longer.
Really, if you can't have access to all the weapons, then you're pretty much at a disadvantage. Especially if you're a really early on character and all you've got is like a handgun or whatever it happens to be. One thing, I love it when a game makes me feel smart. So, for instance, again, we can use Sea of Thieves on this one. The fact that you're trying to solve puzzles, and you've either got a rough drawing of an area or the map. You know, you've got to identify the island based upon its shape, and it's not.
There's
difficult.
no waypoints. There's no glowing things in the sky.
Yeah,
there's glowing things in the sky. They've got nothing to do with what you're looking for.
Yeah, that's true.
It's true. Like the riddles themselves are actually quite simple, but every time we solve them, we feel so smart.
And maybe that's a symptom of, for the last decade, having Far Cry series is guilty of this. Bethesda games in general are guilty of this. Go and find this magical trinket.
It's over there.
And the compass not only I mean, I wouldn't mind if it took me to the village or took me to the house, but the fact that it takes you to the exact drawer in the house, it's a bit annoying.
Well, these breadcrumb systems are quite difficult anyway, but you watched that video I told you about, right? The is it called Breadcrumbs? I can't remember.
By Adam
But the one about the impact of being in this huge open world that you're supposed to be exploring and having waypoints everywhere. It's one of the things I hated about The Witcher 3. Was you can read the signposts and know which way you're going, or you can follow the dotted line.
Or you can
why does my horse have GPS and is self-driving, by the way?
Or of course the dreaded fast travel. Now I've got two minds about that. I do like how it's implemented in some games with huge maps that you have to visit the place first to fast travel. That kind of makes some sense. But I really enjoyed, again, when I had more time, Oblivion. I keep going back to it because I remember it so well because I spent so many hours in that world. was the whole. No, I turned it off. I
Mm.
turned off the ability to fast travel because you could mod the game so well. Um, and it made a huge difference to the game. Suddenly, it felt like there was a purpose from going from A to B, because otherwise you're just fast traveling between the major cities and just doing things really, really quickly.
Yep.
World of Warcraft did that really well as well. There was no fast travel in that. I don't know if there is these days, but if you wanted to go and do a mission, you had to walk or
Kind of a
run there.
case of people wanting their cake and eating it, which is a phrase I don't really understand because I don't know what else I'm supposed to do with cake. But I
Tom.
want this huge, massive open world and that experience of discovery and all the rest of it, but I also don't want to spend a lot of time traveling.
It depends if it's part of the world.
Hello, Des.
Hey, how
Um,
you doing?
that's something that GTA Online does annoy me about. Is I keep at one point I thought I was buying something for a business I was running. I was actually starting a mission, and the mission is go pick up this dude from the airport. The airport's miles away. Wait, you're not taking me to the airport. You're taking me the other side of the map. Oh yeah, he wants you to pick him up in this car, which you're going to have to steal from a moving truck. So use the car gun system to shoot out these locks on a moving truck. Like, fine. I get in the car, drive all the way to the airport, which takes me 10 minutes. Pick them up, get told, oh, we didn't want it anyway, which, aha, very funny. And then drive 5 minutes back to my business. It's like, I just made 4 million in heists this week. Can I pay a taxi company to do this for me?
Yeah, you think at that point you wouldn't be a taxi
We'll
service
hire you
anymore.
a driver.
Yeah.
Like, there are people who do this for a living.
Again, it comes to immersion breaking as well.
Mhm.
There's certain missions or levels that do feel like they're not necessarily that they're beneath you, but you've gone past that in terms of the challenges you want from a game.
Yeah. Daz says that there were huge flying beasties you can get when you hit later levels. I'm guessing that's for Oblivion, not GTA.
The leveling system in Oblivion was an interesting one, and again, it's something that I ended up modding out because I like the idea of if you're going around a world of some danger. So one of the
Mm.
things thinking Oblivion was a mountain lion, and it would only spawn if you're level. I'm making these figures up, but if you're level 30 or higher. Okay, fair enough. But the mod would mean that you had a chance of random encounters, more so in mountainous regions or something along those lines, of encountering these dangerous beasts. And what do? You run, like you would do if in reality if one of them appeared. I didn't like the fact that with Oblivion, as you said earlier, it's stat based and everything leveled up with you. So you
Yeah.
never felt any stronger. You didn't suddenly face an imp and go, ha ha ha, duff, 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 done. So you never really felt like you were an incredibly powerful person. You just felt like everything leveled up along with you. And there was one issue with I think I was telling you about this the other day with a lightning bolt or something like that, or a touch of frost it was called.
Yeah, I remember.
And if you got it as a lower level, it would level up with you, and the mana requirements would mean that you could use it at level 1, you could use it at level 2, and at level 3 you couldn't use it anymore because it required twice as much mana as your character could have in the first place. I was like, this is a broken design decision here, because suddenly you're giving the player a reward for completing a quest that in the next hour or two they're never going to be able to use again.
I am kind of fascinated with accidental game design like that, like the Praxis kit debacle in Deus Ex,
Yeah.
like the reputation system in Cyberpunk, the street cred system. There's a lot of them in Cyberpunk, actually. There's things like, why is clothing tied to armor? And the clothing is therefore gated by both money, well, I say by both, by money, by level, and by street cred. And you get street cred essentially for playing the game, which means you can't get this until you've played the game for long enough. But this is a system where you can buy armor jackets and you could buy armor cybernetics. So why not just have them as character choices from the ground up?
That would
I
make more
actually think
sense.
it'd be more interesting to try and design games without levels, make meaningful choices they can make at any time. Some of the favorite role playing games I've played, Numenera, Blades of the Dark, barely have a leveling system. In Blades in the Dark, you can unlock more things for your character. The rest of it, there's only 5 levels. Numenera has only got 3 levels, and it's a much more interesting system because then the little choices you make and how you choose to use them are much more important than we can't take on this beholder until we've killed 17 more goblins, which at
And
that point is bookkeeping, as far as I'm concerned.
there is an argument to be said: if you fire a bullet from a gun or an arrow from a bow, what makes it cause 50
Nice.
times more the amount? Where does the
What
extra
makes it
damage?
cause?
What makes it cause more damage? What makes it cause more damage to an
That's a
enemy?
great phrase.
Yeah. Where's this magic extra stuff? I'm not more skilled with a gun. Fine, if you.
What's it simulating?
Yes, exactly. But
Mm.
you've got this disparity between the weapon you've got and the damage it can do because of your level. That makes no sense. Fair enough.
I mean, I could see kind of where it comes from in the sense that as you get more experience, you're deadlier with a weapon.
So you're more accurate. You got more chance for a critical hit, but there's not more chance to do more damage.
Right.
It's going to cause the same amount of damage depending on where it hits the other character. So that really that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I've probably had this rant before about headshots. It's like, come on, that just don't make it more difficult by increasing the hit count. So you've got to do 3 headshots. That doesn't make any sense to me. Another enemy or a different thing to avoid, or a tougher enemy armor wise on the chest, but still vulnerable. That sort of thing does make sense. I like my zombie games, and recently I've been playing a bit of State of Decay. And there's some interesting design decisions in that, and I managed to watch one of the dev blogs because they're still developing the game, even though it's like 2 years old, and they've introduced this new mode called Lethal, which I put on, and my community that I built up died pretty quickly because I hadn't learned at the lower levels the skills necessary to survive because it was quite low level. And what they said in the sort of like the patch notes, the release notes for what they had done is they didn't just crank up the things and make everything a bullet sponge. But they did some interesting things where there's these things in the game called plague hearts that if you destroy, they make the place safer, basically. And they made them more difficult to damage with explosives, but easier to kill with melee weapons and shotguns. So if you got up close with it, i.e. putting yourself in more and more danger, there was a reward for doing that, rather than just cranking everything up and making things incredibly difficult.
The Doom remake had a very interesting mechanic similar to that. I didn't play it, but I saw a lot of videos about it, where if you attacked a enemy that was wounded with melee, you do a special finishing move, or you had a chance to do a special finishing
Yeah,
move,
and you get
which would give you
armor and
health
stuff from it.
back.
Yeah,
Which means that rather than staying back and taking cover, and a lot of these games do, you found yourself ping-ponging around the place like a bagatelle ball. I'm just going to do 2 things. Hello, Juan. Tout va bien. I don't know. Every time I try and speak Spanish, I end up speaking French. Yeah, everything's good, mate. How are you? So yeah, I am kind of fascinated by playing these large open world games, especially GTA Online, which makes so much money every year that they're really not incentivized to fix the problems. Because the amount of time it would take to do things like put in adequate cheat protection,
yeah.
put in moderators to deal with the toxicity, fix the things, that's time that they could spend designing more content, which is what's bringing in the cash. And if they lose a bunch of players, there's enough people coming in every week that they don't really have to worry about that. So they've kind of incentivized themselves to make a toxic game. A toxic game that I kind of enjoy if I play it just right with the right kind of mindset. And I have to go in with the idea that if someone is going to just hunt me down and kill me for no reason, just to laugh and move on, if it gets bad enough, find a different section, because there's no point in getting involved in a tit-for-tat fight with them or calling them names. Like, it's just move on.
Providing the game allows that, that's one of the issues. If you can't do that, then what do? Do you just quit the game, load up, join a different server, and pray you don't have the same issue again?
Point. I wanted to go change how my character looks, so I put myself into passive mode, which means I'm not allowed weapons, but they can't hurt me. So
Yeah.
I'm driving around in passive mode, and two of those oppressor bikes start like buzzing me and shooting at my car, and it just goes through my
Yeah.
car. So I get out of the car and I wave at them. So they sit in front of me. I wave at them. They sit in front of me. I
Yeah.
get back in my car. They get close to my car. I start racing. They start flying with me. I stop. They stop. I go backwards. They stop. And then they get this bright idea where they're going to get into NPC cars
Okay.
and ram and then jump out just as they're heading towards me and make me crash into them and do damage. However, in doing so, they actually don't run over a pedestrian in front of a cop, shoot the cop, and the next thing I know, they're being chased by police helicopters while they've left their bikes behind. Just like it would have been easier just to leave me alone.
Oh, what was the story you're telling me about it? Red Dead Redemption Online the other day, where it's a bit you tried two other people came up to you and they were going to jump you or something. They were waiting for you on the roof.
Oh yeah, I've just started playing Red Dead Online and went to the first big town to try and spend some money. That turned out I hadn't got anywhere near enough money to buy a hat, let alone anything else. And I noticed these like two other players at the back of the town who were dressed in much better clothes than the rest of it. And they were clearly getting ready to jump me. And then they went away, and I'm walking down the street, and suddenly I hear, "Ah, my goodness!" I turn around, and there's a player slumped on the floor. He's fallen out of nowhere, and I look up, and the other one is trying to jump on top of me with a knife. And I move slightly to the side, and he also jumps to his death. I'm just looking at both these corpses, going, I don't understand what's interesting about this experience. Like,
but they certainly, well, perhaps they won't do it again.
in one of the tutorial missions for Red Dead Online, when you get your first horse, they put you into a public lobby. And like, I really don't want to play with anyone else. And that was the point I realized,
Yeah.
I want to play an online version of the game. I don't want to play with other people. Or rather, I'd like to play with my friends, just by myself. And I got in with one other person. He and I didn't speak to each other. We didn't communicate in any way. We totally didn't do much for each other.
Yeah.
And then the moment the mission was over, we both just immediately left the group. I think the game works best when you're playing with friends. And I think it's having the option to find random people is lovely, but making it the default way to play the game sounds weird.
Yeah, I've had some interesting experience with Apex Legends with that, where you join in, you just join a random thing and it matches you with one or two other people if you're playing trios or duos. And sometimes that's brilliant. People are communicating using the built-in systems, and it works incredibly well without having to have voice. Obviously, voice is far better to a certain degree. If you've got someone who won't shut up, less so. But it's amazing how many people you can play against, and the quality of teamwork varies significantly. Some people realise that it's a team game, and they all stick together, they revive you if you get knocked and all the rest of it. Other times, you'll be playing with a random, and they go off that way, the other person goes off that way, and you're like, right, I guess it's a solo trio.
Well, it's interesting because I watched a video on that new solo heist in GTA Online. In fact, Jelly just says, hate random parties, rather go solo. And the guy was dared to do a version of the new heist with a pickup group. And it went exactly as badly as you might expect. Like, they didn't know what they were doing. There was no coordination. There was no planning.
Yeah.
There's no forethought. And you have limited lives in that. So what it ends up being is just this one guy waiting for them all to die and then running it solo so they can get paid.
What? That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, that's the problem with that heist is it's the best way to make money.
Is to
And it pays well enough that there's nothing else to do. Like, I feel like going through the GTA Online experience with friends, probably with new characters, just in invite-only mode, is the way to play at GTA Online. I think playing with a bunch of random people with overpowered weapons and too much time on their hands. Someone spent $750,000 to target me randomly with an orbital airstrike.
What?
Like,
I didn't even know that was an option, but okay.
Yeah, one of the heists, you have to buy like this Bond villain facility and you can spend extra money to get an orbital cannon, but it costs you money to fire. I'm like, I mean, if you really want to, sure. It sounds like a lot of money to fire at me, but okay.
And for the sake of it, just kills you and then you respawn.
That's it.
There's
Yeah, like
that doesn't really do
slightly
much.
slowed me down on my commute. Like it's
Yeah, I don't get that. That's a bit odd.
I desperately need the restroom.
Okay,
I'll be
you
right
take
back.
that on. I will ask, guys, how's the stream quality for you? I've just noticed on my side, YouTube is saying, "Oh, it's not receiving enough video information." So, just want to make sure that you guys are getting a reasonable experience. Obviously, if the audio is good and the video is a bit choppy, that's fine. But if the audio is broken up or anything along those lines, do let me know. I don't know what I can do about it, but I can certainly try. I can always try um, and see what's going on there. Yeah. So, how's the video quality for you guys? And another thing that uh, would be a great thing to ask, and also tell you guys, is Jan and I do occasionally play games. If you wanted to join us for those things, we don't typically do that on the channel though. I think it would be better to keep the channel for more official stuff. But on the Discord, we will give a little shout. Nothing breaking up. Audio is slightly delayed. Yeah, audio sometimes is slightly delayed. I think I need to alter my settings. After I redid my computer the other day, um, I haven't put the right offset in for streaming, so it causes a funny. But I'd rather keep it proper when I'm actually recording videos and just deal with a slight offset. Sound first is always fine. Sound afterwards is just weird. That makes no sense.
He's back.
Hello. So I was just saying about how when we're playing and we're streaming, we'll be streaming on our Discord channel for the actual
Yes,
gaming when we're streaming that, because it makes it a bit more
less,
accessible and people can join in and actually chat with us as well.
and it's way less work.
And it keeps this channel on point. All these and all of
Yeah.
the above. So I was asking about the stream quality because I got a warning up my end um, about the bitrate being too low, but it seems like it's fine for people. I can see it's blocking out occasionally, but there we go. That's
Jelly,
streaming
there's a
for you.
better route that you don't have to shoot anyone. You come out the compound, you take a hard left at the main gate, you follow that wall along, and then you follow the compound to the sea. You jump in the sea, and then you just swim.
Aren't there sharks, or am I thinking of the wrong game?
Not on this island.
Not on the island.
This heist is on a private island.
Fair enough.
Payday 2 was probably the most fun I've had in a heist game because you can, especially on the best heists, and I'm a big fan of the stealth heists on that game. You can really sit down and decide what kind of approach you're going to do, split roles with everybody, coordinate, and get very good at it.
I remember the one we were playing where I was manning the security cameras,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like there's a guy coming in from your left, and he's turned around, go go go,
Yeah,
because
right.
you had to watch the
That was
routes.
the Blackwater warehouse where they've got that suit of armor in the safe, which is a fantastic stealth heist. If you get seen by anyone, you have 1 minute to get out. And that's it. So you have to
Run.
do it stealth, but there's so much money in there that you're constantly incentivized to just stay a little bit longer. Like depending on the difficulty level, it's like, okay, you need at the highest possible difficulty level, you need 12 things.
Yeah.
But once you know the level, that's not too difficult. But 15 things is a push, and 20 things is insane. But are you going to do it?
Yes. And of course, you don't turn up to stealth missions with a rocket launcher.
Yep.
I do.
I just Jelly's telling me he gets into the office by using a disguise and the supply vehicle. I just cut my way in through the sewers. Can't be happy with it.
What if it works? It works. Go for it. I mean, that's another thing. That game, we were talking about choice earlier, and that game, Payday 2, definitely gives you a choice of how to approach the mission.
Well, the later missions, they really figured that out.
Yeah.
Um, where you actually get like, okay, we can buy a certain amount of extra things. If we get this wrong, that's money wasted. So let's make sure we get the things we need. But do we want
Yeah.
a zip line? Do we want a zip line to an opposing roof or a zip line to the other shore? The first is going to be easier to get to, but there's a chance they'll see the bag, so we'll have to time it. The second one, if we can get that back area clear, we just throw bags down there and one person's just going backwards and forwards and moving stuff.
Yes, you end up being a bit of a conga line with the stuff you're trying to get out of there. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, you can't play Payday 2 with randoms. You absolutely can't. If you're going loud, everyone has to know their job. And you have to have people who are comfortable with their jobs. Like the build I used to do was no armor and 2 pistols, and it was all about evasion and healing when I'm not being shot at. So
Yeah.
I could go very, very quickly. Which meant I'm very good with certain enemies, like those dozers with the big bulletproof thing. I could run up to them very quickly and shoot them at point blank range at the faceplate and get rid of them.
Yeah.
But I'm useless against a lot of other enemies. So you sort of need to know if you've just got a bunch of randoms. They're just going to. Here's a great story about Payday 2. I was teaching some people how to do stealth runs because they play Payday 2, but they've never done stealth runs.
Yeah.
So I'm telling them, okay, you want to wear suits with no armor and only silenced weapons. And I noticed one of them is wearing heavy armor. I'm like, we're going to get spotted immediately. He's like, no, no,
Yeah.
I'm going to stay on the roof. It's fine. I'm just going to be there to help carry bags. And if it goes wrong, I'll be ready.
Yeah.
Okay, so the other 3 of us are walking through the bank, carefully taking down all the guards, securing everything, cameras are down, and I hear this crash. And the guy has fallen through the skylight on the roof into the middle of the bank, scaring the customers. At which point the guy hosting the game goes, "Go loud now!" And we execute everyone in the bank before anyone can press an alarm. So we kill like 30 people in under 2 seconds. Um, and I look at this guy, I was like, "What were you doing?" He's like, "I thought I'd get a better view. I stood on the glass."
Oh dear. I remember playing that when we were set up and you were like, okay, I'm gonna do this now, and that will attract the guard, and it will come around the corner, and then you nab him, and that was quite. Again, it was very rewarding because your actions had consequences, but you always felt like you were in control of what the outcome would be.
And if it goes wrong, it feels like it should be fair. I missed this shot. I didn't check that corner.
Yeah,
I took a gamble. I understood the risk and I took it.
yeah. I think that always makes a big difference that you're in control of your fate. So if you decide to do something and it causes the game to go loud, and
I mean,
that
with any kind of stealth game or heist game, what you really want is, like we were saying in Hitman, it should feel like this beautiful, intricate jewelry box, and you're going to figure out like
yeah,
the way, not jewelry box, clockwork puzzle, and you're going to figure out how you're going to interact with it.
jewelry box.
The jewelry box is what you're stealing,
Yes,
um,
I
but it
like
should
it.
feel like this beautiful mechanism, and that you understand it, and you're
Yeah.
going to sort of move these pieces, and Ocean's 11 style, just move in, outthink it, and ghost away,
Oh, I want
as
to play
opposed to
Payday now.
gently nudge them out the way. I want to play Payday. It's a great game.
Join us for the after stream.
I'm going to bed after stream. Um,
Risk reward consequences. Yeah, I think the. I mean, even in a very basic game, going back to a deathmatch game, you have risk and reward. You get something like I'm going to go back to Quake 3 now. I love that game. You'd have the railgun. It was an instant kill shot, but it would take you could only fire 2 every second, or it may have even been less than that. It might have been you've got 2 seconds there for each shot you can make, and there you're using up. The risk is that you're going to get killed before you can get the shot off, but the reward is it's an instant kill if you actually get your pinpoint accuracy in. And
as opposed to the Oppressor in Grand Theft Auto Online, which is simply a better vehicle than any other vehicle.
you just spam the fire key. Yeah.
Yeah, you can outfly everything, you can outmaneuver everything, you can outspeed everything, and you can outgun everything.
Yeah, how does a flying bike? I get it. If you've spent 3 million on an attack helicopter, then and then you should be able to pretty much own the map. But perhaps, and they're not going to fix these things, but perhaps you have to pay for your rocket. So there's there's a consequence for having an attack chopper, and it's your weapons cost you money to fill up.
Hmm.
And
I'd
if
love
you
to
if
see
you don't have the money, you
for a
can't
while they
do
were
it.
working on Payday 3. I don't know if they still are
Yeah.
because I know the company had major finance problems.
Hmm.
Um, but it's still around, so that they might still be working it. I'd love to see Payday 3 actually have a good stealth system because what they did with the existing one is very good, but they're taking something that isn't fit for purpose and making it work as opposed to building it from the ground up.
Hmm.
I still say Hitman is the best stealth system I've seen.
Yeah, it works incredibly well. All of these games, though, once you've worked out the mechanics, you can often not
Cheese.
cheat, essentially. So, State of Decay 2, one of the things that I did not realize you could do originally was dodge. It's taught to you once, and then I've never had to use it because I was playing it
In
on
which
an
game,
easy.
sorry?
State of Decay 2.
Oh, okay. I
Uh,
heard Payday 2. It was like, you could dodge?
yeah, but anyway, I might have said that. Who knows? But there's this dodge key. But if you dodge into an enemy, you go through them, and then you can immediately press the immediate execute because you're behind them.
Yeah.
So if you go through them, turn and press the E key, if you're playing on keyboard, I don't know what the controller is. Suddenly you can insta kill, and providing you're not being swarmed, you can just continue cheesing the game like that. And that kind of broke the immersion for me. The fact that you could do this,
That
I
sounds
would,
like the Assassin's Creed problem,
yeah, it would be
where
different.
counter is just an instant kill and is the best button. So you end up just pressing counter
Yeah.
constantly.
So that's a problem with it. Well, maybe not a problem, but it's interesting how it allows you to go through the enemy.
Mm.
If I dodged to the side and they stumbled over, and that allowed the stealth kill to be made, essentially because they're facing the wrong way, that's kind of fine in my book because you've done something, they've stumbled. There's a chain of events there. Not I magically passed through the character, appeared on the other side of them, which enabled. I don't know. It's a
I
very
was just
odd
thinking,
mechanic.
I know I was saying earlier, I'd like to see more games move away from leveling. One of the things I did enjoy
Yeah,
about Payday 2, you could have different builds, so you could switch between them.
yeah,
But on my stealth build, I had unlocked a skill a few times because you reset your leveling each time.
yeah.
Um, where if you stay still for 4 seconds, you can see NPCs around you. You see their
Hmm.
outline, and you tag them to everyone else,
Yes,
which is incredibly useful for a certain thing. But it means I can't get the other stuff I might need, like the ability to intimidate people over a longer distance and stop them from setting the alarm off.
yeah,
So it really helps to be part of a team where everyone's got slightly different roles. They understand their roles, and they just go in as a crew.
yeah. That makes a
Don't play
huge
stealth games
difference.
with randoms. In fact,
Uh,
I don't tend to like playing with random people anyway, unless there's absolutely no chance of communication.
Splinter Cell Pandora Tomorrow. I think that's what that one was called. That was an interesting game that I played online. The only Splinter Cell game I've ever played online, where because of the way the maps were configured, that it had the dark shadows, but as an agent, you would actually blend into the shadows perfectly.
Mm,
It was very interesting to play a game where vision was taken away from the other players. Obviously, if you were in the middle of a brightly lit room, you could see them. But if they went into the shadows, they effectively just disappeared. The shadows were all the same color. And it was an interesting way of playing. How if you were playing as the mercenaries, which I think were the opposite to the agents, you had to rely on sound.
mm.
Or visual if someone's being silly. So with the sound, they had this very interesting. Going back to your point earlier about UI, they had like a ring that would show you where the sound was coming from, as in a sort of
A
almost like
direction,
a direction, but also a height. Is it on the same
uh,
level as
uh,
you, above you, or below you?
just like in real life, where you can easily tell if a sound is above or below you.
Yes. But it was interesting that if you use the instruments that you were given, it was far easier to play and far easier to win as the mercenaries than it was as the agents. Because there was and of course if you knew that as an agent you could do decoys. You can make a loud sound, immediately turn around and go on the other side of the map, and hopefully that's acted as a decoy. Or if you're talking to someone, which wasn't an option back in dial-up days, I think I was on. Maybe ADSL one, but still not an option. It wasn't like a built-in game chat. If you were playing these days, you could actually coordinate. I'm going to make a big load of racket up here and attract everybody.
Let's see. That says one of the things that if you can shoot from distance to do a little damage or come close and risk it all. I mean, yeah, I mean that's the kind of balancing mechanic you want to look for as a game designer.
Yeah.
Medal of Honor back in the day. You see, I've never gotten on with military shooters. Don't care about playing with randoms as everyone runs around with lunatics anyway. Yeah, if there's no point in any kind of plan,
Yeah.
then fine.
Like a death match, if you're just all running around a map shooting one another, there's no teamwork involved. If you've got a specific objective, and if you work as a team, you'll typically win because numbers or whatever. Then that makes a lot of sense. But yeah, if you're just running around randomly, like Among Us, everybody's running around randomly.
Yep, 56k modem Diablo online games. I tried getting into Diablo 3 when it first came out. Got into the beta and I tried playing it. And it very quickly occurred to me that I was playing Bubble Wrap Simulator.
Bubble Wrap
I'm just pressing
Simulator?
one button
Yeah.
and enjoy the little that happens with each shot. As like the button is the only gameplay. Like I'm just clicking the left mouse button. I may as well be playing a cookie clicker.
Well, it's an infinite runner at that point, isn't it?
Yep.
You're just doing one mechanic over and over again. But it is a looter shooter. It's not meant to be a story. There's not meant to really be any real progression. It's all about collection.
I mean, there is a story, from what I remember, but it's about the collection.
Yeah. It's about hoarding gold
I remember
coins.
Vent and TeamSpeak. Yep.
I could remember for many, many years my ICQ number. But it was ICQ, and then what else was there? There was MSN, and then I don't think I used chat programs for quite a while after that. I think Facebook rolled around at some point during all of that.
I stayed on Facebook for as long as I could.
It's an interesting one. There's been lots of changes with the Quest 2 recently. So one of the things that bugs me about having a family of children that want to play a game, one of the things that really narks me about Steam is the fact that if I've bought a game, I'm the only one allowed to play it. It's like I've got a library of games here that to me feels a bit odd because obviously coming from a world, I don't say that we should all be able to play the same game, but if they want to play one game and I want to play another, I think they should be allowed to. But obviously, that's Steam's terms of service. I'm stuck without that. Microsoft take a very different approach though. And so if I buy a game, providing I sign into a computer and download the game, it's available to all the other users within my family, which is really cool. That's a complete opposite. I'm not sure if it would work if it wasn't a Microsoft game, so if it was something else that you then had to sign into Ubisoft or Origin in order to play it. I don't think it would work on that level if you tried it that way, but who knows. But they're doing a similar thing now with the Oculus. So if you did have multiple Oculus Quests in the house, they can all share a main library, which is again really useful in terms of getting people online. But there's kind of a balance to be had there because I feel a bit wrong.
So Melicon says you can Steam share.
You can Steam share, but if I'm playing a game, it cuts them and throws them out the game, which is a real yeah. I when I heard about it, because Steam have this family sharing thing, it's very similar to Microsoft. You have to go onto that computer as you, sign into Steam as you, authorize that computer as you, then sign out and sign in as the child's account. And I thought, okay, brilliant. I'll jump through all of those hoops, and then the children will be able to play a game. They're playing Jurassic World or whatever it is. I load up a game in my Steam library. Nope, just kick them straight out. I was like, so it's the library. The library is the only thing that can be used at one time. Which begs the question, what's the point in family sharing? I mean, if two people want to actually play a game at the same time, it just doesn't work. Very bizarre.
We are now at an hour and 10 minutes. So I think we should ask if people have questions, comments, concerns, interpretive dances, and jingles.
Which way are you? What he said. I'm looking to see if it's the right way. I bet it's not. No, it is. It is.
Is we don't see what you guys see. I see Mikey, and then you guys are over here.
Yeah, I see you. I see you.
I see Q.
Yeah.
Ow.
Oh,
you're right. If you're wondering why I keep touching my ear, I have the dumbest allergy in the world. For those of you who don't know, I'm allergic to my own sweat, and my ears have suddenly gotten in on the game. So if I wear these headphones for a length of time, my ears start hurting.
Might be worth getting some open-backed ones.
I mean, I have these, but they won't reach. Also, they're broken.
Yeah. So, if you guys have any questions, here they come.
If a woodchuck chuck, how much would a woodchuck chuck? I think that went wrong.
That's what would happen if I tried to say the proper thing.
I know that a woodchuck would if it could.
And Peter
But
Piper
as to the amount,
Peter
Piper picked a I sure do.
Yeah, it's a bit too late in the day for me to be dexterous with my mouth.
Dexterous with your mouth.
Yeah.
Good. But yeah, I am fascinated by these game designs. I think open world games are a really good way of seeing how these implications echo out because they're so big that every change is magnified.
And also what open world really means. Because open world just really means you can run wherever you want. You're not on a linear progression through a story. But that can also lead to immense boredom if there's not an environment that. I mean, I can take. I'll let you all know next week if I actually get a game of Red Dead Redemption 2 in. My brother's been saying to me it's an absolutely beautiful game.
Oh, amazing!
And occasionally he just chills.
Better game than GTA 5.
He was saying that he just chills and sometimes he just goes off for a ride through the forests and stuff. And I'm like, okay, that sounds like an interesting game. If you can genuinely just immerse yourself in the world like that.
It doesn't have the same kind of UI problems as GTA.
Right.
Because in GTA, if you want to heal, you have to press the interaction menu, which on the PC keyboard is M. Then go down to your inventory with the arrow keys, and then press enter when you get to your inventory, and then go down to snacks, press enter, and then pick a snack, and then press it and watch your health bar go up a little bit, and keep doing it, and keep doing it. With Red Dead Redemption, you just open the wheel and say eat. Okay. And the game will pause while you're doing it if you're not online.
Nice. A different control scheme there. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. One of the screenshots he sent me was sort of like a misty morning in the desert. I was like, oh, there's some nice colours. Some very nice colours in the game.
Yep. And we're planning at some point this week to have another game of Sea of Thieves. Go back into story mode.
That'd be awesome. We'll announce on the Discord channel when it comes, so you can come and mock us, laugh at us, and even just join in the chat as well. Yeah,
it's a good game for Seasick, and I know Daz will enjoy watching more sea.
Nice. Well, thank you everybody for joining us this evening.
Thank you so much. I hope everyone's well and safe and happy and all the other nice words.
Drunk. No.
Is that a nice word? Yeah. I think that should just be your sign off from now on. Drunk.
Hard. I got my grog. Oh, a question. Brilliant. I'll answer this. I was just about to sign off. I want to start learning Blender. Should I go and start with Mike's courses on the other site, or is there going to be one here? There is going to be one here, and it's rolling out at the moment. So
he's recording. I mean, not right now,
not right
certainly.
now because we're here, but yes, there's a new one coming out for Blender 2.91 onwards.
Yep.
And we got some guests. We have Paul Craggy, who's going to do lots of stuff on the grease pencil. I think I pronounced his name properly. And we've got Erin Erindale Wood something. I've forgotten his surname. Sorry
If
if
you
you ever
start
watch
like
this.
Chucks,
Yeah, maybe. And he's really good at procedural shaders and materials. So they're going to be guests on the course teaching their craft. So I can't wait to actually
yep,
get it out. And they're recording their respective bits at the moment as well. So the course itself is going to come out a bit out of order, but each section is going to be self-contained. So
yep.
there's going to be a series of courses which we will bundle all together into one mega course, which should be a bundle that's available to buy as well. So,
Yep.
if that made sense, I've got to say it did. Yes.
So I hope that answers your question,
Yep.
and I hope you guys play lots of fun games and eat delicious things.
Delicious things.
Mm.
Ooh. I should have food arriving soon. I've been we've got a curry arriving sometime in the next
I
hour
wish
or
you had
so.
said that. Do you know when the last time I ate a good curry was? Like one I didn't make out of a jar.
We should do an emergency run.
Would you like to? In fact, you do know because you were there. It was Christmas the year before last.
I know, it's sad.
Oh,
When this is over, we'll go and have a nice Indian again.
it's never going to be over. All right.
On
And
that
on
cheerful note,
enthusiastic note.
thank you everybody for joining us. See you again. Bye.
Bye.